So, do you remember the first time when you held a touchscreen smartphone? Well, I really remember, and that memory is quite vivid. I was literally blown away when I held an image and did pinch to zoom feature on the touchscreen phone. It was something really magical to me when I did it for the first time about 10-15 years ago. But right now we are not talking about smartphones. We are here to talk about dash cameras, and this is probably the first camera I am reviewing which has a touchscreen display at its back. Well, yes, this is the Redtiger F7N Touch, and this is simply amazing. Let's take a look. Well, finally, after so many of you were asking me to review the Redtiger F7N, they did finally send me the dashcam, and this is a F7N touchscreen version. This comes at a price of about 14,000 rupees, and it also has some other different variants as well. All of those links will be provided in the description below. But right now let's talk about this particular dash camera. Along with having a touchscreen and a 3-inch plus LCD display, it also has a field of view of 170 degrees. That's quite wide field of view for a dash cam. It also supports 4K resolution at the front and a 1080p resolution at the back. And as far as I know, this produces upscaled 4K video via interpolation and not native 4K. So what's the difference between a native 4K and an upscaled 4K? Well, it's a lot to talk about in this video, so I'll be making a separate video about that. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so that you do not miss that important video. So I've been using this dash cam for about a week or more now, and there are some things which I really like about it, especially the suction holder for the windshield mount. It is so convenient to easily remove and attach the camera back again whenever and wherever required, and it's not cumbersome as the dash cams which come with a 3M sticker tape, which is a hassle to remove and stick again. Also, of course, the touch factor is really important. Now, the touch screen is actually a subjective matter. Now, some of you may like the touch screen and some of you may not. Well, I personally like it. Since we are all used to touchscreen smartphones now, having a touchscreen dashcam just closes the technology gap. So let's quickly start up with the unboxing and follow it up by showing you a detailed video quality review during daytime, and then follow it up by showing you the detailed Redtiger app settings and the touchscreen settings right on the dashcam. So this will be probably the only video which you'll need to see to decide if this is the right dash camera for you. So let's get started. So let's begin. The Redtiger F7N Touch is finally here, and this is the box pack. So on top you have the picture of the dashcam, and here is the Redtiger logo. You have this 4K ultra clear app control and GPS tracking, some features highlighted here. Let's take a look at the bottom of the box. They say it is 4K plus 1080p dual channel dashcam, built-in Wi-Fi and GPS app control, HDR, WDR, super night vision, G sensor, loop recording and parking monitoring. So let's quickly open up the box and take a look inside. A pretty interesting looking dash cam. So I haven't seen any dash camera. I mean, the protrusion of the lens is so prominent. And on top of the dash cam it says 4K Ultra HD, Wi-Fi and GPS. On the other side of the dash cam you have this power button and micro SD card slot. At the back you have a screen, and they have given some instructions as well. And these instructions read as: please read the manual before using, please do a bench test before installation. It is recommended to use a branded U3 SD card to record 4K videos. The micro SD card should be formatted in the dash cam before using. So very helpful instructions for first time users. You have this up and down button on the other side, and this is probably a mode button. On the bottom you have ventilation holes. On the front this is probably a speaker grill, and on top you have this rear camera port and a Type-C port for the main power, along with ventilation holes on all the other sides. So let's just take a look at the mount and see how this adapts onto the dashcam. So here you go. This is a suction mount along with the GPS module. So as you can see, it says GPS right here. So the suction mount mechanism is different from what I've seen till date. There is no specific switch which you can flip. There is actually a switch which you have to rotate in order to make the suction mount adapt onto the windshield. Here is the main mounting adapter with 4 pins right here. You see the corresponding 4 strips on the dash camera. So let's just slide in the holder and see how it fits in. There is also a nut here which you can loosen or tighten, and based on this you can adapt the dash camera onto the windshield. So it's a rotating mount and it rotates should I say about more than 90 degrees, and this even should adapt to vertical windshields, but I'm not pretty sure. I think this lens protrusion might interfere with vertical windshields. So let's consider this booklet as a vertical windshield, and if I do place it here, well, I think the lens is going to touch the windshield and there won't be any gap between the lens and the windshield in case if you have a car with a vertical windshield. So at first you have this user manual for the Redtiger dashcam, and this is very useful for first time users. You get all the details regarding the dash camera's usage, its installation, its technical specifications. Well, everything is available right here. If you're interested, you can take a look at that. Following this, you also have two electrostatic stickers, one for the front and one for the rear, I suppose. Nothing else here. So there are certain additional clips also provided. You have this bright orange colored wiring toolbar. Well, I haven't seen any orange colored wiring toolbar until now. This is the first one. All of the ones which I have unboxed till now have been always black. So here is the rear camera of the Redtiger F7N, a standard rear camera with a 360-degree rotation capability. You have this mount here and the lens. There is also a LED light at the other end. Then along with that, you get a pre-attached front camera power cable with a single USB port right here. So you need to plug in this 12-volt car adapter into the 12-volt socket of the car, and you get a spare USB port right here to power up any other appliances or devices which you might be using in your car. So as you can see, this is a Type-C port power cable which plugs in into the front dash cam. So you have the two electrostatic stickers, you have additional clips, you have this user manual, a wiring crowbar, the dash camera with the suction mount, a rear camera with its own specific power cable, and a power cable for the front camera with a pre-attached 12-volt car charger with a dedicated USB port. So let's take a look at how this camera performs in real-world conditions. So starting with the footage from daytime with the Redtiger dashcam, let's move on and take a look at the license plate read. So as you can see, there are 4 vehicles which I have pointed out: the Renault Duster on the far left, the Activa on the right, and 2 vehicles in the middle of the screen. So taking a look at the far left on the Renault Duster, so you do see some sort of a pixelation, a dotted noise due to interpolation, but more or less you can make out the number plate even at the far end of the lens during daytime. Although it is slightly blurred due to magnification, the overall readability is pretty decent at this distance. Now moving on and taking a look at the two-wheeler right in the center. So because the license plate is pretty small and the numbers on the license plates are even smaller, the camera is not able to get a good read of the license plates even though the distance is pretty short. So this goes to show that the license plate readability also depends on the size of the letters and the numbers being displayed on the license plate. Taking a look at the Toyota Etios in the middle of the screen at an even far range than the two-wheeler. Now you can make out the number plate in this, although not pretty clear, slight pixelation, slight noise again due to interpolation, but the overall readability again is pretty decent. And even though this is farther than the motorbike, due to the larger size of the letters and numbers, you can more or less make out this number plate. Moving on further, taking a look at the Honda Activa at the right edge of the lens, you don't see as much pixelation as the other 3 samples which we just saw due to the near proximity of this vehicle. The overall read of the plate is good. You can make out each letter and number pretty clearly at this short range from this two-wheeler. So this was the license plate readability for the front camera. Now taking a look at the rear camera, let's zoom in. So you don't see any pixelation within this image since this is native 1080p, but you do find some blurriness due to the magnification factor. But at a very close range, as you're seeing on the screen right now, the number plate is readable, and at daytime more or less all 1080p cameras perform very well at a very close range. Taking a look at the side-by-side comparison of both front and the rear camera, on top you find the front camera with a 2160p 4K resolution at 24 frames per second. It has about 24,000 kbps bitrate and the file size is about 180 MB per minute. At the bottom you find the rear camera with a 1080p Full HD resolution, 24 fps same as the front, around 7000 kbps bitrate and 55 MB file size per minute. Now what's impressive is the rear camera quality is actually much better than I expected. It's not as bad as most of the rear cameras which you have seen till date. Although the quality of the rear camera is not as high as the front camera, it does hold on its own and it's a pretty decent quality. The front camera video quality also looks pretty decently balanced. The video footage tends to be slightly on the softer side in the rear camera compared to the front dash cam. So let's head into the settings of the dash camera and take a look at all the settings it has to offer. So do note that when you enter the settings, the dash camera will stop recording. So at top you have the sound recording option, which you can enable or disable. Basically it's the mic of the dash cam. Then following that, the important option is the video resolution. You have 2160 plus 1080p or 1440p plus 1080p. So currently selected at 2160 plus 1080p, which is 4K plus full HD. Following that, you have the loop recording duration, which you can select to 1 minute, 3 minutes and up to 5 minutes. Then you can enable or disable the timestamp on the video. Then you have the collision sensing option, which works based on the G sensor. You have the way to alter the speed units either to kilometers per hour or miles per hour. Then you have the time lapse recording option, which you can enable or disable, but do note that the parking mode requires a dedicated hardwire kit, which you need to purchase separately. So in case of time lapse recording, you can select a G trigger, which is G sensor trigger recording, or you can select a minimum of about 12 hours up to 24 hours and a maximum of about 48 hours. Following that, you have a Wi-Fi name, SSID, which you can change. You can change the Wi-Fi password. Then you have the firmware version. Then you have the option to format the SD card. And lastly, you have the option to reset the dash camera. So here you go. This is the dash camera screen, and it's a pretty wide screen, I must say. And the most important aspect, this is a touchscreen panel. So let's take a look at what this touchscreen has to offer in terms of usability for the end user. So on the right, you have this up and down buttons along with the mode button at the middle. You also have the mode button similarly placed on the touchscreen as well. So let's click on the screen and take a look at the various different options within the settings of this dashcam. So here you go. This is the main settings section. You get a date and time being displayed on the left. You have this video option, playback and setting option. So let's first jump into the settings. So first of all, you have this resolution option wherein you can select 2160 at 30 fps, 1440p at 60 fps and 1080p at 120 fps. Well, interestingly, 2160p at 30 fps is only offered when it is in a front camera mode only, I think, and if you connect the rear camera, it will come down to 24 fps. So let's head back. So here is the audio button, which is basically the mic. You can turn it off or on based on your requirement. Then you have the date stamp option. Then you have the loop recording option, which you can extend from 1 to 3 to 5 minutes. Then you have the G sensor option. So these options are all kind of similar to what you saw within the app settings. Following this, you have the fatigue driving option. So you get a warning after a predetermined set of time. You can set it up to 1 hour, 2 hours or 3 hours, or you can turn it off completely. Then you have the speed stamp, which you can turn off or on. Then you have the GPS stamp. Following that, you have the speed unit, the GPS info. Now this shows the strength of the GPS signal. Now currently, since I am indoors, the GPS signal is not so much. So let's head back. Then you have the rear camera flip option. Then you have the option to mirror the flip. Then you have the download app option, wherein it will display a QR code which you can scan to download the app. Then you have the Wi-Fi hotspot option, which you can enable or disable. Then you have the language option. Then you have the time format option. Then you have the date and time option, where you can select current date and time. Then you have the time zone option. Coming back, you have the clicking tone option, which you can enable or disable. So I'll just currently set it at enable. Then you have the screensaver option. You can set it off so that the screen is always displaying the recording. You can set it to 10 seconds, 30 seconds and 2 minutes maximum. Then you have the parking monitoring option, which you can turn off completely. You can set the G sensor trigger record, time lapse 12 hours record and time lapse 24 hours record. I think you also have a 48 hours mode as well. So here you go. This is the time lapse 48 hours mode. Then you have the format reminder, which you can set each at 15 days or 25 days, or you can set it off completely. Then you have the format SD card option. Then you have the card speed option, which is going to test the speed of the card which you have inserted within the dash cam. As you can see, it says the card speed is proper. So let's head on to the default settings. So this is basically a factory reset. Then you have the version number. Then you have the help center, which again displays a QR code which will take you to the website of the Redtiger dashcam. So this is an impressive little touchscreen, and If you want to take a deeper look into it, you have the user manual of this camera, wherein it provides all the details, all the specific details about each aspect of this screen. You can take a look at that if you're into it. So for the price of around 14,000 rupees, this does seem to offer a good value for money. And if you're someone who is looking specifically for a dash cam which has a touchscreen, also if you're someone for whom it doesn't matter if it's native 4K or an upscale one, this again is the perfect dash camera for you. All in all, it does make a good value for money package for the average user without much hassles in it. But if you're a pro, there are some better options available for you. Also, if you're interested in purchasing this dashcam or any of its other variants, the links to purchase them are provided in the description below. Do go ahead and check it out. And if this video has helped you out in making the right decision, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you get notified each time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.